Femi, let me start with you. You heard the minister explaining why this has to go. Very important that if we do not do this now, you know, the government will have to keep borrowing to finance the budget, and that this, she's just giving, you know, so many economic reasons why subsidy has to go. Of course, she didn't, I mean, and from her body language, you know, you could clearly tell that the government is not interested in running the refineries anymore.
DG, let me start by saying I have a lot of respect for the minister. You know, I'm going to say that because I saw her on TV very distressed, saying that, you know, people were against her. I mean, it's very so because people loved her. People loved her. I can say for sure that a few years ago, some people were hoping she would run for president. So this is it's not a personal thing at all. It's not about her. It's about the situations that we found ourselves in. Let me start. People are tired of those acronyms. SIPS, SAP, all my growing up life in Nigeria, I've had all this. And when I read the papers, I see that in economic terms, they look sound. And that is the crux of the matter here. She's talking about all the borrowing that had been done in the past that we had to pay off then. The same thing that enables all that borrowing to go to waste is what people are concerned about now. That this same thing would happen this time around. Were we to agree to this, it will go to waste. There's nothing to prove that it will not go to waste. And she's talking about we will cut salaries. What would have been great would have been if Mr. President had come out a few days ago when he came out and said, you know what, we're going to cut by 50% this, we're going to do this to show some sort of faith. To get some sort of, and more importantly, going back to what she's saying, now you're trying to convince me that 1.3 trillion will fix all these problems overnight.
Now let me just say this because you may be getting things wrong here. Now, actually what the government says it will be saving from the removal of fuel subsidy is 1.134 trillion naira. Now that 1.134 trillion naira, everything does not go to the federal government. The federal government share, it's actually 478.49 billion naira. So when you ask that question, are they going to fix all those problems they identified now with 1.3 trillion? No, it's not 1.3. We're talking about 427.
So I then ask, are they going to fix it to 4.4? And how much was devoted to fixing it before a budget passed, and how much of it was done? Well, who were the contracts given to? We're talking. I also had the minister for petrol talking earlier this morning when she said, "Oh, our hands are tied. Our hands are tied. We cannot police them, so let's take away the incentive." That's like saying, "Oh, robbers are going to come to my house, so please don't buy anything to put in my house."
I'm going to continue.
I think we must make a mistake that the government is making. Please don't budget on fraud. The federal government, the ministers, the National Assembly, even the marketers, everybody has agreed that this figure they are juggling around, they bandied about, is a package of fraud. Let's all agree that a lot of
they're going to create 370,000 jobs.
Document.
Before you begin to share what goes to the state, what goes to the federal, right now, and if you use the one, and I've pleaded with them, don't use the 2011 fuel subsidy to plan for the future. It's fraud, and I can prove it here. I have the presentation by the PPRA.
Can we see that?
Before the Senate. The PPRA went to the Senate on the 25th of October this year and said, please, this is our figure of 1.3 trillion. That was at October. In December, it went to 1.6. That we brought in, they themselves knew that there was a problem. And they said, it is remarkable that the noticeable upsurge in the subsidy payment in 2011 is due not only to increase in subsidy per litre, but also to the computed arrears due to NNPC for HHK that is household the charges. And the now came here, the settlement upsurge notice in the 2011 payment was due to the settlement of 2010 PMS subsidy claims of 18.0097 billion for NNPC. 2, settlement of other areas of HHK, 250.7 billion subsidy came, pending since June 2009 to NNPC. 3. It is to be noted that HH claims are still being received from NNPC for verification and settlement in area. Yet, in 2009, they told the whole world that they paid. Page 13. All that we spent in 2009, this year, is 421 billion. In 2010, all we spent was 673 trillion. Yet in 2011, they are smuggling arrears. And they have not used this fraud to paralyze all of us. You cannot continue to spend 1.4 trillion per annum. This is their own document. In addition to this, the NNPC has been audited. You must help the government if you want to make progress. The NNPC has been audited by a reputable professional organization, right? KPMG Professional Services. And they have come to the conclusion here, their findings, a lot of them, that one, NNPC uses an exchange rate that is lower than what the central bank fixes daily in order to change the federation account. 2, that many of those who are asked to look at it daily, we have said that contracts for the importation of petroleum products were awarded to companies and suppliers not listed in the approved brief qualification list. You can go on and on and on. And 2, when you import petroleum products, you are supposed to be paid within 45 days. Once you present your NOR, that is notice of readiness. They now find there that, however, actual payment to suppliers ranges between 220 and 240 days after receipt of NOR, and that NNPC has to pay interest once it is beyond the 45 days. All this cumulatively have ballooned the fuel subsidy of 240 billion, which was what the National Assembly budgeted, which was what the President signed into law. That was what ballooned it from 240 billion to 1.6 trillion at the end of December last year.
And then we're not asking us to pay for those kind of excesses that we don't understand what we want to.
The government has said publicly a cartel is responsible for this monumental fraud. However, our hands are tied. We cannot deal with them. And when you are shifting the blame, contrary to our constitution, Section 36, it is who has offended the law that must be punished. And in any case, I want to impose a collective punishment on all of us.
Anyway, let me come to you. If those refineries were fixed, very important, we're actually looking for solutions here.